Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Anubha Rohatgi, and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha with the Midday News. The headlines. Home Minister Amit Shah says government has accorded high priority to strengthen infrastructure along border areas of the country. Assures complete fencing of borders before 2022. Over 42,12,000 doses of COVID vaccine administered in the last 24 hours. Overall vaccine coverage reaches nearly 40 crore mark. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.31%. Member Health Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul says next 100 to 125 days are critical in the fight against COVID-19. Mizoram orders stricter lockdown from midnight tomorrow till 24th July. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu calls meeting of floor leaders ahead of monsoon session beginning Monday. UGC issues guidelines on examinations for universities and colleges in view of the COVID-19 situation for the academic session 2020-21. Indian Navy receives first two of its MH-60R multi-role helicopters from US Navy. Rescue operations underway to find survivors of floods across Western Europe. More than 120 people killed in the devastating floods. And in cricket, ICC announces groups for T20 World Cup 2021. India and Pakistan placed in the same group. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also to help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the Narendra Modi government has accorded high priority to strengthen infrastructure along the border areas of the country. Addressing the 18th investiture ceremony of the Border Security Force BSF in New Delhi today, Mr. Shah said the Prime Minister believed that if the infrastructure is not improved along the border areas, then the country's borders will not remain protected.
सीमा सुरक्षा का मतलब है राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा, इसके परे किसी को सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है। सीमा सुरक्षा ही राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा, और जिस देश की सीमाएं सुरक्षित नहीं होती है वो राष्ट्र कभी सुरक्षित नहीं रह सकता है। जिस देश की सीमाएं सुरक्षित है वो राष्ट्र आराम से विकास के रास्ते पर, लोकतंत्र के रास्ते पर आगे बढ़ा जा सकता है। घुसपैठ, मानव तस्करी, गौ तस्करी, हथियारों की तस्करी, ड्रोन, ये सारे हमारे सामने चैलेंज हैं। अभी हमने देखा किस प्रकार के सुरंग बनाए गए हैं। ढेर सारे चैलेंजेस है, मगर मुझे पूरा विश्वास है अपनी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस पर, उनकी सजगता पर और समयानुकूल बदलाव लाने की उनकी क्षमता पर। ये सारे चैलेंजों को पार कर हम हमारी सीमा सुरक्षा को सुनिश्चित करेंगे।
Comparing the work done during previous UPA government, Mr. Shah said from the period 2008 to 2014, only 3,600 kilometers long roads along the border were constructed, but in the Narendra Modi government, work of 4,764 kilometers roads was completed. He also informed that for smooth movement of paramilitary forces, where only one tunnel was built during the previous regime, now 6 such tunnels have been built and work on 19 tunnels is in progress. Mr. Shah also assured that there will be no gaps in fencing along borders and work will be completed before 2022.
भारत चीन सीमा पर कटिंग फॉर्मेटिंग की रफ्तार प्रतिवर्ष जो 230 किलोमीटर थी वो रफ्तार को बढ़ाकर 470 किलोमीटर तक ले जाने का काम किया। इसके साथ साथ गैप्स भरने की बात हो, चाहे फेंसिंग हो, छोटे छोटे गैप्स बने थे, किसी का आशा नहीं होगा गैप्स छोड़ना, मगर 200 किलोमीटर की फेंसिंग आप ठीक से बना देते और बीच में 1.5 किलोमीटर का गैप रह जाता है तो 200 किलोमीटर की फेंसिंग का सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से इतना उपयोग नहीं है। गैप्स को फिलअप करने के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी की नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने हर एक जगह पे गैप्स को ढूंढकर जहां बात करनी थी, जहां संवाद करना था, कुछ अड़चने थी, कुछ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अड़चने थी, कुछ पड़ोसी देशों से बातचीत करनी थी, सारी अड़चनों को दूर कर मैं आपको भरोसा दिला सकता हूं कि 2022 के पहले हमारी फेंसिंग में कोई भी गैप नहीं रह जाएगा।
The Home Minister said India will soon come up with indigenously developed anti-drone technology and enhance security at the borders.
चैलेंजेस को देखें तो ड्रोन के खिलाफ हमारी मुहिम बहुत महत्वपूर्ण आज के समय में होती है। ड्रोन के खिलाफ की प्रणालियों को विकसित करने के लिए डीआरडीओ और हमारी अन्य एजेंसियां लगी हैं। बहुत कम समय में मुझे भरोसा है कि ड्रोन विरोधी स्वदेशी प्रणाली के साथ हम सीमा पर अपनी तैनाती बढ़ाएंगे और इस खतरे को भी हम पार कर लेंगे। लगभग सुरक्षा बल ने 15 अरब रुपए के नारकोटिक्स को पकड़ा है, 4.5 करोड़ के सोना चांदी को पकड़ा है, 15 आतंकवादियों को मार गिरा है और लगभग 2000 आतंकवादियों को घुसपैठियों को पकड़ने का काम किया है।
More than 39 crore 96 lakh vaccine doses have been administered under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. The Health Ministry said more than 42 lakh 12,000 vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. In the same period, 38,000 new cases were reported and more than 43,000 patients recovered. The recovery rate has improved to 97.31%. Till now, more than 3 crore 2 lakh people have recovered from COVID-19. Country's active caseload currently stands at 4,24,025. Active cases constitute 1.36% of the total cases. Weekly positivity rate remains below 5% and it is currently at 2.1%. Daily positivity rate is at 1.91% and has been below 3% for 26 consecutive days. In the last 24 hours, 560 deaths were reported. The testing capacity has been substantially ramped up and more than 44 crore 20 lakh tests have been conducted till now. Yesterday, more than 19 lakh 98,000 tests were conducted.
Member Health and Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul has said that the next 100 to 125 days are critical in the fight against COVID-19. Briefing media yesterday, he said the world is moving towards a third wave of COVID, and even Prime Minister Modi has mentioned this and said it is a warning that everything cannot be taken for granted.
सिचुएशन कंट्रोल में है, लेकिन आगे ये खराब हो सकती है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने तो हमें नारा और उद्देश्य और टारगेट यही दिया है कि थर्ड वेव हमारे देश में नहीं आने देना। अगर हम जुड़ के फैसला करें तो ये संभव है और जैसे जैसे टीकाकरण ठीक होता है, बढ़ जाता है, कवरेज बहुत ज्यादा होता है, कुछ महीनों में 3 महीना 4 महीने, तो फिर हम लोग हो सकता है कि हम सेफ जोन में पहुंच जाएंगे। लेकिन ये अगले 100-125 दिन जो हैं वो बहुत क्रिटिकल है हमारी को अपने आप को जिम्मेवार तरीके से को भी और जनता को भी हम सबको भी सतर्क रहना होगा।
Dr. Paul said leaving the North and South American regions, all other WHO regions are moving from bad to worse. He said Spain has registered a 64% rise in weekly number of coronavirus cases, while the Netherlands has witnessed a 300% increase in the figure. Dr. Paul said if we look at Indonesia, Bangladesh, Thailand, the system was stable, but there has been an increase. If we look at the data of Africa, there has been a rise in the number of cases by 50%. He said only if we all decide, then there will not be any third wave. Dr. Paul said as the vaccination drive picks up further in 3 to 4 months, there is a possibility that we will be in a safer zone. He said everyone has to remain cautious as a large population is still vulnerable to the virus. The central government has provided over 41.69 crore vaccine doses to states and union territories so far. More than 2.74 crore balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with states and union territories. Over 18.16 lakh doses are in the pipeline. The Union Health Ministry has said it is committed to accelerating the pace and expanding the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country.
The Mizoram government has ordered a stricter 7-day lockdown to be clamped from midnight tomorrow till 24th July midnight. It will be imposed in the Aizawl Municipal Corporation area, while in other parts of the state, the district administration will decide on restrictions based on the local situation of COVID-19 and assessment. The state government has taken this decision to control the ongoing surge in transmission of COVID-19. Movement of people during this period, including casual visit of neighbors and families residing in the same building, will be strictly prohibited. All state government offices and private companies barring essential services will be closed during the period. Other government offices, banks and post offices will remain open with minimum attendance. Markets and grocery shops will also remain closed. Public transport is also prohibited during the period. Transportation of goods and commodities from outside the state will be allowed with strict following of SOPs. Ahead of the monsoon session of Parliament, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu has called a meeting of floor leaders of different political parties this evening. During the meeting, Mr. Naidu will discuss ways to ensure smooth functioning of the upper house during the session. The government has convened an all-party meeting tomorrow to seek support of political parties to ensure smooth functioning of both the houses of Parliament. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has also called a meeting of floor leaders on the same day. The monsoon session of Parliament will start on Monday and conclude on the 13th of next month. The session will have 19 sittings of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha.
The University Grants Commission, UGC, has issued guidelines on examinations and academic calendar for universities and colleges in view of the COVID-19 situation. The guidelines will apply for the current academic session 2020-2021. As per the guidelines, the terminal semester and final year examinations for 2020-2021 have to be conducted either offline or online or in blended mode by no later than the 31st of August in compliance with COVID-19 protocols. The provisions contained in the earlier UGC guidelines issued in September of last year will be applicable for the academic session 2021-2022. For students of the intermediate semester and year, the higher education institutions may start their academic session in online, offline or blended mode as early as possible in compliance with COVID protocols. The guidelines say higher education institutions will ensure that the admission process for undergraduate courses for the academic session 2021-2022 commences only after declaration of results by the CBSE, ICSE and state boards. The admission to the first-year courses for the session 2021-2022 will be completed by no later than the 30th of September of this year. The academic session will commence latest by the 1st of October. In Madhya Pradesh, the death toll in the Vidisha well tragedy has risen to 11. 19 people have been pulled out safely from the well. Rescue operations that began on Thursday night were carried out yesterday and called off later in the night after 11 bodies were recovered. President Ramnath Kovind has expressed grief on the death of many people in the accident. In a tweet, he expressed condolences to the bereaved families. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also expressed grief over the tragedy. He announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each from the Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan also announced a financial assistance of 5 lakh rupees each to the families of the deceased and 50,000 rupees and free medical treatment to the injured. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Home Minister Amit Shah says government has accorded high priority to strengthen infrastructure along border areas of the country, assures complete fencing of borders before 2022. Over 42,12,000 doses of COVID vaccine administered in the past 24 hours. Overall vaccine coverage reaches nearly 40 crore mark. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.31%. Member Health Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul says next 100 to 125 days are critical in the fight against COVID-19. Mizoram orders stricter lockdown from midnight tomorrow till 24th of July. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu calls meeting of floor leaders ahead of monsoon session beginning Monday. UGC issues guidelines on examinations for universities and colleges in view of the COVID-19 situation for the academic session 2020-21. Indian Navy receives first 2 of its MH-60R multi-role helicopters from US Navy. Rescue operations underway to find survivors of floods across Western Europe. More than 120 people killed in the devastating floods. And in cricket, ICC announces groups for T20 World Cup 2021. India and Pakistan placed in same group. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
The Centre is disseminating awareness of national helpline numbers for the benefit of citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. The helpline number of the Health and Family Welfare Ministry is 1075. The Child Helpline number is 1098. For senior citizens of Delhi, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, the helpline number is 14567. The helpline number of the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, for psychological support is 080 4611 007. The Ayush COVID-19 Counselling helpline number is 14443 and MyGov WhatsApp help desk number is 9013151515.
Welcome back to the Midday News. National Congress Party leader Sharad Pawar today called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. In a tweet, Mr. Pawar said he had a discussion on various issues of national interest. The Indian Navy accepted the first two of its MH-60R multi-role helicopters, MRH, from the US Navy in a ceremony held at Naval Air Station North Island, San Diego yesterday. The ceremony marked the formal transfer of these helicopters from the US Navy to the Indian Navy, which were accepted by Indian Ambassador to the US Taranjeet Singh Sandhu. MH-60R helicopter, manufactured by Lockheed Martin Corporation USA, is an all-weather helicopter designed to support multiple missions with state-of-the-art avionics sensors. 24 of these helicopters are being procured under foreign military sales from the US government. The helicopters would also be modified with several India-unique equipment and weapons. The induction of these MRH would further enhance Indian Navy's three-dimensional capabilities. In order to exploit these potent helicopters, the first batch of Indian crew is presently undergoing training in USA.
The United Nations has extended condolences to the family of Indian photojournalist Danish Siddiqui, who was killed in Kandahar, and stressed that the Afghan authorities must investigate the killing of the reporter. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Siddiqui was killed while covering a clash between Afghan security forces and the Taliban, according to Reuters, where he was chief photographer. In a tweet, the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan said the killing of the journalist was a painful reminder of mounting dangers faced by media in Afghanistan. In Western Europe, rescue operations are underway to find survivors of floods that have wreaked havoc across the region, killing more than 120 people. Hundreds are still missing after record rainfall triggered severe floods in Germany and Belgium. Heavy rain also hit Switzerland, the Netherlands and Luxembourg. Netherlands Prime Minister Mark Rutte has declared a national disaster in one southern province. In Germany, where the death toll stands at over 100, President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said he was stunned by the devastation ahead of a visit to a flood-hit region today. Rescue efforts in Germany were hampered by difficult conditions yesterday, leaving relatives of the missing waiting anxiously for news. Phone networks were down, roads were badly damaged, and more than 100,000 homes were without power. European leaders have blamed extreme weather on climate change.
The World Health Organization has proposed a fresh coronavirus investigation in China and an audit of its labs over the origin of the virus. WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has proposed 5 priorities for the next phase of the investigation that include audits of relevant laboratories and research institutions operating in the area of the initial human cases identified in December 2019. Ghebreyesus said that the second stage of the investigation into the origins of coronavirus should include further studies in China. The WHO chief also called for more studies of animal markets in and around the Chinese city of Wuhan. Leaders of the Asia-Pacific Trade Group, APEC, including US President Joe Biden and Russia's Vladimir Putin, have pledged to work to expand sharing and manufacturing of COVID-19 vaccines to fight the global pandemic. The leaders of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation said that they would encourage the voluntary transfer of vaccine production technologies on mutually agreed terms as the region prepared for future health shocks. After a virtual meeting chaired by New Zealand, the leaders said in a joint statement that the pandemic continues to have a devastating impact on our region, people and economies. They said they will overcome this health emergency only by accelerating equitable access to safe, effective, quality-assured and affordable COVID-19 vaccines. The APEC leaders met virtually to discuss collective actions to navigate the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic impacts. New Zealand, the revolving Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation host, said this week it would chair the extraordinary meeting ahead of a formal gathering in November, the first time such an additional meeting has been held.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said the unrest that ripped throughout the country last week was stabilizing and calm has been restored to most of the affected areas. He added the destruction will cost the country billions of rand. Mr. Ramaphosa addressed the nation yesterday over the rioting that broke out after his predecessor Jacob Zuma was jailed for failing to appear at a corruption inquiry. The unrest swiftly degenerated into looting, which has destroyed hundreds of businesses and killed over 200 people. US-based Blue Origin's New Shepard flight will fly to space on the 20th of July. It is the 16th journey of the New Shepard flight and the first with astronauts on board. Sanjal Gawande, resident of Kalyan in Maharashtra, is working as system engineer in Blue Origin. A report from our Mumbai correspondent.
Sanjal Gawande has completed her school education from Kalyan. Later, graduated in mechanical engineering from Mumbai University and completed MS from Michigan Tech University. Her mother, MTNL's former employee Surekha Gawande, said,
मुझे भी लगता है जो लड़की है जिसकी कैपेसिटी है उसको सबने मीन्स ऐसा प्रोत्साहन देना चाहिए. फिर हम दोनों ने उसके पीछे खड़े रह गए. उसका कुछ फाइनेंशियल प्रॉब्लम होगा वो भी हम लोगों ने सॉल्व किया. उसकी मेहनत से फिर वो आ गई.
In 2016, Sanjal received a private pilot license and last year she received a commercial pilot license from the Federal Aviation Administration of US. Earlier, she was developing racing car and boat engines for a private company. About her selection in Blue Origin, her father, a retired employee of local municipal corporation, Mr. Ashok Gawande, said,
हर टाइम ट्राई करती थी कि एरोस्पेस के अंदर जाने के लिए कौन सा रास्ता है वो रास्ता हमेशा चूजती रही. ब्लू ओरिजिन कंपनी में जाना है तो उसके लिए वो अप्लाई करती थी और अप्लाई करने के बाद में उसको रिप्लाई मिला और उसका इंटरव्यू हो गया और उसका ये जो सक्सेस हो गया.
From April 2021, Sanjal is working as a system engineer in Blue Origin and is said to be part of a team that built the rocket system. Jeevan Bhausar, AIR News, Mumbai.
Geekster, a technology upskilling platform, was established by entrepreneurs Ankit Maggu and Sahil during the pandemic in October 2020. The platform helps people in teaching skills to help them find a job. A report.
The platform connects the students with the employers after upskilling them. Talking to All India Radio News, Ankit Maggu, the co-founder of Geekster, explained how anyone can approach the platform to find a suitable job. He adds that the fees is not charged from the student until and unless he is employed in his dream job.
Geekster is a technology upskilling platform. We help students who want to build their career in technology. First, we upskill candidates through our intensive programs where they get live classes from our industry experts, and then once they are trained, we connect them with suitable employers for job opportunity. Further, the candidate doesn't need to pay a single penny towards the course fee till they get their dream job.
Geekster is now gaining popularity amongst employers. The quality of the students offered at the platform has attracted maximum employers, ditching the traditional methods like employment drives in colleges. 80% of the students have thus far been employed. Ankit adds that the platform can be accessed from anywhere across the country.
Programs can be accessed from any part of the country, as the intention was to give access to best quality of education to students irrespective of their geographical or financial background. Currently, we have students from 50 plus cities, 12 plus states.
Owing to the popularity, Geekster now has more employers. Diksha Saxena for AIR News, Delhi.
A fake approval letter allegedly issued by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energies doing rounds asking for 5,600 rupees as a legal charge to install a solar pump under the PM Kusum Yojana. The Press Information Bureau has clarified that the ministry has not issued this letter and asked people to be aware of such fraudulent messages and letters.
The International Cricket Council has announced the groups for the Men's T20 World Cup 2021 to be hosted by the BCCI in Oman and the UAE from the 17th of October to the 14th of November. The groups have been selected on the basis of team rankings as of 20th March of 2021. 8 teams will contest the first round, including automatic qualifiers Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. 2 winners each from 2 groups will join the main teams. India and Pakistan have been placed in Group 2, also comprising New Zealand, Afghanistan and the other 2 qualifiers from Round 1. Defending champions West Indies are part of Group 1 with former champions England, Australia, South Africa and 2 qualifiers from Round 1 joining them. The tournament schedule will be announced in due course. Indian Grandmasters R. Pragnananda and Adhiban Bhaskaran registered wins in the first game of the 2-game mini-match in the second round of the FIDE Chess World Cup. Among other Indians, P. Harikrishna, Vidit Santosh Gujarati and Arvind Chithambaram were held to draws in the first game of the second round.
With 7 days to go for Tokyo Olympic Games, All India Radio today takes a look at Bhavani Devi, the first Indian fencer ever to qualify for the Olympics.
Born on August 27, 1993 in Chennai, Bhavani Devi created history on March 15 this year by becoming the first Indian fencer to qualify for the Olympics. Ranked 42nd in the world, she qualified for one of the 2 available spots in the Asia-Oceanic zone after Hungary lost to South Korea in the quarterfinals of the Sabre Fencing World Cup. The 27-year-old specializes in sabre fencing, where the upper body becomes the target. This category for women was introduced in the Olympics recently in 2004 Athens Games. Bhavani Devi won a silver medal at the 2014 Asian Championship under 23 category in Philippines. She is also the first Indian to win a gold medal at the Senior Commonwealth Fencing Championship in Canberra in the sabre event in 2019. She was also the first Indian to clinch a bronze at the 2010 International Open, 2012 Commonwealth Championship, 2015 Under 23 Asian Championship and 2015 Flemish Open. She is currently being training at the Tuscan coastal city of Livorno in Italy under coach Nicola Zanotti. It would be a creditable achievement if the 27-year-old could pull off a win or 2 in Tokyo. Sports Desk, AIR News.
Listeners from all across the country are participating in the Olympic quiz with AIR, started by All India Radio News. To participate in the Olympic quiz, tune in to our program Sports Scan at 7:20 p.m. every day. And now let us take a look at the weather today. Srinagar may have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature was 21 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be nearly 33 degrees. Jammu is forecast to have a partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees, while it recorded 28 degrees Celsius as minimum. Leh may have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 13 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 30 degrees Celsius. Gilgit is likely to have a mainly clear sky, with temperature rising up to 40 degrees Celsius. It noted a lower limit of 19 degrees. Muzaffarabad is forecast to have a partly cloudy sky towards afternoon or evening or at night, with temperature rising from a minimum of 23 degrees Celsius to a maximum of nearly 37 degrees. Guwahati may have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The minimum temperature was around 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 34 degrees. Imphal is likely to have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature recorded was at 22 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 30 degrees. Aizawl is predicted to have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 19 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is to be nearly 26 degrees. Kohima may have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Home Minister Amit Shah says government has accorded high priority to strengthen infrastructure along border areas of the country, assures complete fencing of borders before 2022. Over 42,12,000 doses of COVID vaccine administered in the last 24 hours. Overall vaccine coverage reaches nearly 40 crore mark. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.31%. Member Health Niti Aayog Dr. V.K. Paul says next 100 to 125 days are critical in the fight against COVID-19. Mizoram orders stricter lockdown from midnight tomorrow till 24th July. Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu calls meeting of floor leaders ahead of monsoon session beginning Monday. UGC issues guidelines on examinations for universities and colleges in view of the COVID-19 situation for the academic session 2020-21. And in cricket, ICC announces groups for T20 World Cup 2021. India and Pakistan placed in the same group. And with that, we end the Midday News.